John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and Trump's former national security advisor in his first term. Ambassador, thanks so much for being here. I first want to get your reaction to what Trump just posted, that he's going to try and set up this meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelenskyy soon, and that afterward there would be another meeting that would include himself. If that all happens, that would be a big deal, wouldn't it?
It depends on how the meeting goes. I think certainly the atmospherics were different with Zelenskyy today, but that doesn't necessarily change the substance. And in fact, you could argue that a premature meeting between Zelenskyy and Putin could send the whole thing right into the garbage can. So Trump is in a rush to get a deal done, and there are certain positive aspects to that, for sure. But I don't think he is really taking cognizance of just how big the differences are between the Russian position and the Ukrainian position. We'll see how it goes. In this kind of very public setting, I think people are reluctant to make a fight and look like they're the ones obstructing peace. But it would be a big mistake to over-conclude at this point that it's just a matter of weeks before there's peace and sweetness and light in Ukraine.
Yeah, Zelenskyy has for months said, sure, let's meet. I would be happy to meet with Vladimir Putin. But Putin has notably and repeatedly refused. The statement just out a few minutes ago from Russia is notable because it says that Putin supports direct negotiations between delegations. It says nothing at all about Putin himself participating.
Right, and I think Putin believes, and he's being told by his military, that they are prevailing on the battlefield, and it is the case. They are making slow advances at a terrible human cost for Russia. But they may think that the Ukrainian front is about to break. So Putin is in no hurry to engage in negotiations that would jeopardize that. We don't know sitting here exactly what the state of the battlefield is. I think the Ukrainians look like they're holding out pretty well, but Putin has incentives different from Ukraine and the Europeans and from Trump. And although maybe everybody in that room today said they were in favor of peace, and why not, that doesn't mean that Putin is. He'll say it. But for all of them, the same question is, on what terms?
Right.
And those terms, even coming out of this meeting today, remain spectacularly vague.
Yeah, and spectacularly huge. By the way, given the massive tensions between Zelenskyy and Putin, how could the two of them even meet together without somebody else in the room to mediate?
Well, that's why I'm a little skeptical of how this is playing out. And what I've picked up in European press, and I can't verify it independently, but there was reporting that the call between Putin and Trump took place when Trump adjourned the meeting with the Europeans to go call Putin about 5 o'clock East Coast time, which would be roughly midnight Russian time. So it may be that Trump wanted to get to Putin before he went to sleep, but a 40-minute conversation, so that's Trump talking for 20 minutes plus interpretation, means he may have carried something back from Putin into the meeting, which is now one reason why several of the leaders apparently may stay at the White House. So this is still moving on, and remember, I'm sure tomorrow there's a high likelihood Putin and Trump will talk again.
All right, so the other big topic today were these security guarantees. Ukraine and the rest of Europe are all very afraid that Putin will continue his aggression and push further into Ukraine. He's shown over and over again he cannot be trusted, that he will attack when he wants to. The European leaders sitting on all sides of Trump said the same thing repeatedly. I mean, left, right, and front. We need Article 5 security guarantees. And then Trump said today, and Mark Rutte said this was a big deal, a breakthrough he called it, that yes, we'll agree to Article 5 security guarantees, and we may even, he wouldn't rule out sending American troops.
Right. Well, he wouldn't rule it out, but if that were a possibility, there are two kinds of troops you can send. Troops that are providing training and assistance to the Ukrainians, as we had there before the Russian invasion in 2022, or troops that are there for combat. And they would be in Ukraine prepared for combat in case the Russians violated the terms of a ceasefire or an armistice if one were put in place. So I think it's just, if that's what Trump is thinking about, and it's possible. I can't wait to see the reaction of the MAGA base that American forces at some point in the near future could be in active combat against Russian forces, the troops of one nuclear power fighting the troops of another nuclear power. I don't think that's what the MAGA base signed up for. Maybe Trump doesn't care about that, or maybe he doesn't understand some of the words he's saying. But that's what military force prepared for combat as part of a security assurance for Ukraine could look like.
All right, John Bolton, Ambassador John Bolton, thank you so much for your expert analysis.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.